welcome to Interpreting the Gospels at Moody Bible Institute. I'm your instructor, David Wankel, and I want to welcome you to episode 7 of the Facet video series. Today's topic is argumentation. Now, if you want better grades, better communication, better sermons, better lessons, or better papers, then you need to know how to argue well. Let's start at the beginning. Your opening thesis statement is extremely important for your paper, for your presentation, or whatever it might be. This is the statement where you communicate your position. It's also an important part of your grade. And I want to stress that the same approach that you take in papers is going to be the same approach that you should take in your group discussions online. So when you're communicating with your fellow students in a discussion board, you should state your position with a thesis statement in the same way that you make a position in your paper. Having a strong, clear thesis statement is simply the key to good communication. Your opening thesis statement must be clear. It must identify expectations for the reader. It should be in your first paragraph, perhaps in the first sentence, but definitely somewhere in the first paragraph. It's where you stake a claim. It's where you state your position that you are going to present in whatever form you're communicating in. Let's highlight this here. The thesis statement establishes the argument of your paper. I want to make sure we focus on that and highlight it. Let's look at an example. Paul's contrast between letter and spirit in 2 Corinthians 3:6 is not primarily a contrast between law and gospel, but between life before and after Pentecost. Now, I'm not asking you to evaluate this. This is simply an example of a thesis statement. But I want you to notice some elements of this thesis statement. First, it is exegetically oriented. That is, it's oriented towards the biblical text. Now, there may be papers you're going to write that are not specifically about exegesis. They might be about church history. They might be about pastoral application. Make sure that you're considering your context. This example is very narrow, so you want to make your position statement or your thesis statement narrow enough so that you're actually saying something. If your thesis statement is too broad, it may not have a lot of meaning. This example is also debatable. It should be easy for somebody to think about and evaluate this thesis statement and say, yes, I agree, or I do not agree. Think like a lawyer. Make sure that your thesis statement is backed up with evidence. If you stake a claim, make sure that you present 2 or 3 pieces of evidence to support whatever you're claiming. Your claims need to be supported with primary sources. For example, from the Bible itself, or from secondary sources, which might be books about the Bible. Think like a lawyer. Think like somebody who's making a case and seeking to defend it with good evidence. And another point that's really helpful is that good writers read good books. If you're not reading good books, you're not going to be exposed to all kinds of examples about what good writing looks like. So you might want to ask somebody for help. Ask somebody for examples of good books on the topics that you're writing about. Look at those books. Try to follow their pattern and their example. If you need more help, make sure that you submit your papers early and ask your teachers or peers for help. There are plenty of sources on the internet where you can get help on how to write a good thesis statement. There's a link right here that you can pause the video and write down. Thanks for watching the Facet video series.